Welcome back to the Broke Diaspora, and it's another beautiful day here in Ghana. Thank you once again for clicking on my video. Remember to subscribe so you can be part of this family. In this video, I share the top 5 mistakes to avoid in constructions so you can learn from my mistakes. Mistake number 1 is only buying one plot of land or not buying a much bigger piece when prices were still cheaper. Hear me out. I'm still very happy and grateful of some of the purchases that I was able to make many years ago in Ghana, right? But I still wish that I did more looking at the prices now. So I was one of, I very early on, I did see the opportunity in buying lands that were these developing areas, or maybe places that were not even considered developing because there was nothing really going on there, right? I was just contacting different companies, or anytime I heard about, a land opportunity or a distress sale of a land. I enjoyed scouting for lands, right? I enjoyed going out to these visits where there's literally nothing, sometimes with difficulty to access the land that would involve driving, parking, walking, and you know how it is, right? But I truly did enjoy the whole process of scouting for different lands. And I did buy a good share, but obviously I still wish that I bought more looking at what prices of lands are going on right now in Ghana. Because would you believe when I started buying some of these properties or some of these lands, I was getting lands in about, I think, 2,000 or 2,500 cities. That includes documentation, right? There was 500 Ghana involved to get a documentation. So the land was maybe 1,500 cities, right? There was nothing really happening over there, but also I didn't have plans on starting anything, but I believed in the possibility of land banking. And to me, at those prices, I also thought it was amounts, not outrageous amounts, and amounts that I was okay losing, because I've lost more, like much more than that, right? So that's how I started buying. And to look at the increase or the value of these lands right now, very excited. And every time I talk to my business partners or friends that we did this together, the only regret we have is, why didn't we buy more when we were making these purchases at those prices? And now even if you have the money these days, sometimes it's hard to be able to buy right next to you to just keep expanding, right? Because maybe now you're at a place where you have neighbors and not everybody's willing to sell. So that's mistake number 1, is buy when prices were cheaper, buying lands when prices were cheaper. Now, if you were not able to buy it, you can go back to the past, right? They said the best time to buy a land was maybe 10 years ago, and the next best time is now. The same way I'm making a video regretting not buying more. I should be buying more right now at these prices, because in about a few years again, I might make a video regretting. Remember when I thought prices were already way high? I should have made the purchase anyway, because guess what? It has increased, and I feel like that is the trajectory that land has just been going in Ghana. So that is mistake number 1. If you have been on the sideline just debating, you're not ready to do a construction, find a secure way to buy and secure that land, whether you're going to build on it or just for land banking. Pull the trigger. And when you're buying, make sure you buy a decent size, so you don't end up like me, wishing I had my neighbor's land to have a bigger parking lot.
Mefro. Mess and do
Okay,
message. No Mefro. You may
to the
benefit.
next mistake. Mistake number two is overbuilding or spending too much building the caretaker shed. So,
Come.
in
Tell me here.
Ghana, we know the tradition, right? You buy a land, you secure the land before you build on the land. When we say secure the land, what does that mean? There is securing your land in a legal way, going for the documentations, and there is also securing the land in the physical way to secure it away from encroachment or just neighbors or nearby neighbors taking maybe a small portion of the land, even if you have the legal papers, right? So that is usually the method of securing a land in Ghana, the legal way, getting your document, and also the physical way. When it comes to the physical way, also, what does that mean? You can just do a perimeter wall and just leave it that way. In most cases, that works. Or in a lot of places as well, you actually need a physical presence, somebody living there or a caretaker to make sure that your land is protected from encroachment, right? So that is how you physically secure your land in Ghana. Now, when you want the presence on your land, that involves getting a caretaker on the land. Usually, you just have to build a temporary structure or a structure for the caretaker. And most times, most people would just do a very simple design, very basic temporary structure, right? But in my case, I think the mistake is spending too much money in building the caretaker's residence. And here's my reasons that I gave myself when I was doing this. I didn't know when I was going to be ready to actually start the main project on the land. And I also wanted whichever caretaker would be on the land to have some type of comfort, right? So that was my reasoning, and that's why I decided even if it was going to be a very basic room and porch, you can still make it nice with all the wiring and all the plastering and everything that would be needed to make the living comfortable, because I thought I might need it. The person might stay there for very, very long, right? And I guess it's more of a blessings than anything that I was able to maybe get the funds ready sooner to start my construction project, right? So that I didn't necessarily need that place for too long, and I find myself having to demolish it for the main project. So a lot of money that I put in, you look at the ceiling, putting all of that, and that's not needed if I truly knew that it was going to be very temporary, right? When a caretaker is there, it's to make sure that, yes, it's a roof under their head, it's safe for them, and usually you're not getting maybe a family that is living there, right? It's not a whole family. So if you have just one individual, like a single guy that is your caretaker, you can make just something very simple that is very livable and safe for the person. But I didn't need to do all of that, both plastering the inside and the outside, right? But I did not know that I was going to be demolishing it very soon. So that's mistake number two, spending too much money when we're building the temporary structure. And now what I do on my different project or different land is making that temporary structure very temporary, and make sure that you use materials that once you are ready to demolish it, you can save a lot of that, or you can be reused in future projects. So yeah, that's why I say it's very important for you guys to join this community, right? So you guys can learn from my mistakes, what I've done as a mistake, and I'm not going to repeat again. You guys get to avoid that completely. So now, with after doing all of this, right, a lot of expense goes into building it, and you guys also know when it comes time to demolishing it as well, right? I couldn't even save a lot of the materials. Imagine if I hadn't plastered the inside, or like plastered at all, right? Most of those blocks could have been saved, but because it was completely plastered, it was just a complete demolish that needed to be happen. The blocks could not be saved, right? So, and then now you're paying workers or laborers to work on demolishing that building. So expensive to build, expensive to destroy or demolish as well, right? Double unnecessary expenses, right? So going forward, we know the plan, right? So that is mistake number 2 for you. Try to really minimize the expense when you're building the temporary structure, because guess what? It's a temporary structure, and sometimes you're either paying the persons to still be there, or you're giving the person a free place to stay, right? I don't think people are going to judge you because it's still safe for that person. You don't have it with a roof open, right? So it's not anything about guilt that you need to make it shiny for the caretaker to be there and still be paying that caretaker to be there. So that's it for you. Your mistake number 3 is under buying the materials early. Now, just like the land, prices of materials would also keep rising, right? Just companies trying to make profit, or just currency fluctuation just not in your favor as the person trying to build something. Never going to be in your favor, right? So we have this tendency of wanting to have it all or have everything before we start. But what I have learned and what I have kept preaching is that have a plan, but start. And some of the starting is buying the materials that you're most likely going to be needing for your construction journey, right? So when you have your project, very necessary to have a list of materials or a bill of quantity, or a rough estimate, or for you to know some of the materials you're going to need. And out of those materials, there's going to be perishable ones and non-perishable ones, right? The non-perishable ones meaning it has a short-term lifespan, and usually the non-perishable one means like, hey, it doesn't matter, you can buy them and keep it for longer, right? Example of those would be the blocks, and at some time maybe even the iron rods, right? But you have to know when to make the purchases, at what stages to make them. For example, the blocks, you're able to buy them and accumulate your blocks way longer. You see, the blocks, when I was purchasing them, I was buying blocks at 3 cedis, 50 pesos, in that range. And now for the same project, I'm still buying blocks now at 7 cedis, right? So maybe we can't afford it, but in some cases, it's not because we can't afford it. It's either we don't want to spend the funds, or we just want to have everything ready before we start to make the purchases, right? So if you can start buying these non-perishable ones that you can keep longer, do that. Follow that plan. Accumulate it, but secure them, right? So that you can save yourself on your construction journey. If not, prices just keeps going up, right? They would increase price because dollar or CDs has appreciated, and then you expect that when the opposite happens, maybe prices goes down, but it doesn't always happen that way. So learn from that, buy what you can, and accumulate your materials. When you start buying your materials in the beginning, shop around a lot near you, compare the prices, but find yourself a reliable supplier that you end up building a relationship with, because it's going to benefit you for a long run. Mistake number 4 is having your foreman or any of your workers run away with your money. Folks, I personally have lost about 7,000 Ghana cedis, and I have learned from my mistakes. And you can also watch this and make sure you learn from my mistakes as well. Now, during your construction phases, there are a few times that you may be exposed to these type of risk, especially if you're building but unable to be present on the site. Because if you are present on the site and you have your workers, either you have them per day, you are able to check the job that is being done daily before giving out the payment. The mistake that I made was having a contractor that I did not do my due diligence because I wanted the job to go fast. I was switching contractors, and it was just a small remaining piece of the project that was left. So I did not do my due diligence to know his residence nor his office because it was supposed to be a quick contract. And I made a payment ahead. Now, even though my policy has always been never to make 100 or complete payment, 100% payment, that was a partial payment that I made for the job to start, and he just took that away. So that did not stop me from continuing the project, but that is the learning that I am sharing with you guys. Do your due diligence, search and know where the office is, know who you're working with, and make your payment a structured payment if you can. Mistake number 5, and my final one for you guys today, is waiting for all the money before you start. And I am also guilty of that, especially if you have a big or a scary vision like I do, and your budget or your pocket is definitely not near that, right? So you don't even think you can start, or you're even scared of getting started, or you don't think it's going to even make an impact to that big picture. Trust me, one step, one block at a time, it does make a difference. So just start. You may have wished right now you could wish that you had done it years ago, right? Regrets right now, which I have. But the last thing you want is have those regrets again years to come. So start now. Slowly, from bush to nothing. This is slowly the progress on just Project Dentra that I have been showing you guys. And all the series at Project Dentra has just been to motivate people, not to brag, because there is nothing fancy or anything to brag about, but to motivate and show that it is possible to start slowly. See you guys in the next one.